Destiny.
As well inside the walk-ins of Valorant Challenger South Asia, driven by Hyundai with our styling partner Philips OneBlade. We've got two players walking out for the first time, Sai and Bad Love. I mean, of course, for the first time, it's going to be Sai walking out on the stage. And yeah, you guys heard it right. Sai Dreams is going to be replacing Ember inside God's Dream. So this is going to be quite an interesting switch up. So I really want to see, is this going to add on a little bit of more team synergy, or is this going to be taking away the team synergy? Because I'm pretty sure in the back lines, these guys have been practicing in the boot camp as well, sitting back, practicing all the time with even their stand-ins. So I really want to see how this entire lineup is going to be performing. And you've got Autumn as well walking out on the stage, Crips. So what are your thoughts, like your initial and your actual realistic thoughts about Sai Dreams playing inside this matchup?
I'm quite excited to see what this guy brings to the table. Ember has been solid so far, and Sai has been very solid in the past, but he's been somewhat inactive in the last few months, so I'm really excited to see what this guy has been cooking while he was on the back burner. That being said, I noticed something very prominent, kind of like the elephant in the room, and I'm surprised you didn't address it. Do Godlike have new jerseys?
Ooh, wait, yeah.
How did you not notice that?
Sick.
Yeah,
my bad, man. I was just too excited to see Sai back on the stage. You know, it's been a while, but yeah. But yeah, now if I do take a look at the jerseys, I love those golden stripes on the jersey as well. That golden logo, it looks so nice. The fact that it actually shines through, that's something that, of course, going to be an eye-catchy stuff. But on the other hand, God's Dream, they instantly sit down in their chairs, but if you take a look at their counterparts, MLT, they're having a little talk in each other's ears. So God's Dream are, of course, taking a look at them and look at MLT. They're over and over again. They're just looking at the players of God's Dream and laughing.
I'm sure there must have been some banter between the two of these teams before they walked onto the stage. There has to be, right? These players have known each other since lots of years, and they're friends with each other outside the game as well. So if a little banter takes place, I'm just sad that we don't get to be a part of it, dude.
Yeah, man, I really just want to be there on the stage with these guys and, you know, just want to know what exactly goes on behind the scenes. But I'm pretty sure our other desk, the Hindu desk, they pretty much know a lot of insights. So, yeah.
Do you get jealous sometimes that they get to be on the venue and we don't?
Now I'm used to it. It happened pretty much like twice now. I've been casting the VCC as well, and now I'm just used to it. You know what? I'm used to it, sitting home, casting, and on the virtual desk. But hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. Audience love is what matters, of course. The support has been quite phenomenal, and these guys, the people who are watching the English stream, the English desk, I respect you guys a lot as well, considering we are not exactly on the main stage, but you guys are still taking your time to watch the English stream. That means a lot to us. But now, as we do move on over towards the map, Veto, Fracture, and Lotus are going to be the first ban, so that means we're going to go on over towards the basic map pool.
Haven picked again. I'm starting to get nervous, Necro. This is God's Reign map, and they are really strong on it, dude.
Yeah.
God's Reign have multiple layers in a map like Haven. They not only are able to read what their opponents are doing, but also quite convincingly apply pressure towards every part of the map. And even when you see them, you can't figure out whether it's a fake, whether it's a commitment, whether it's a contact play, or whether it's none at all, whether they're just playing their default. So God's Reign are like a very elusive noose on a map like Haven. And Militant have shown clear cracks in this match, especially when they were playing against Godlike. So I'm really concerned. I'm kind of skeptical that they didn't ban this map right away, so I'm starting to favor the fact that God's Reign might just run away with a 1-0 lead right at the start. Of course, I can't really tell what's going to happen in Pearl, but given the way how Tix was just absolutely destroying everybody last time on Pearl when he was playing, I'm concerned yet again. If we do get the map 3, then maybe Militant Esports stand a chance, but I think this is going to be a heavily one-sided affair towards God's Reign. I don't know, Militant did have a chance, they were the underdogs going into this game, but for some reason the map just doesn't seem to favor them, I think.
I mean, you talked about the entire map pool, right? And you said there have been a lot of cracks in the wall of Militant Esports. But I personally feel like, considering those cracks were discovered in the Godlike matchup, there's a high chance they've been able to patch up the holes. And now they're a little bit more confident playing this map against them, because there has to be some sort of reason, right? You're pretty much giving the advantage to the Titans. On the other hand, the Titans have played this map over and over again. They've dominated every single series they've played on this map. So maybe Militant Esports, they have enough amount of research to counter the entire team of God's Reign.
I hope they've done their research, because as much as God's Reign seem like a team who have quite a lot of plans, a good amount of read, most of their basics start the same way. Their defaults doesn't change often, and even when their defaults change, they're mostly sticking together when they're in the middle of their execute. So as long as you can somehow survive the first few seconds of this game, once you figure out what the defaults of God's Reign are like, it does become somewhat possible to figure out where the execute's gonna happen. Right off the bat, we see God's Reign going to its speed, and Venka ready to defend.
Oh no, he's ready to defend, but Autumn's too quick in that trigger. He will shut down Venka instantly. Look at God's Reign. They're already starting off in a fiery way. They've got the entire B-side control. Also, the man advantage is now in their favor too. One less man left alive. Rio, a lot to clutch out inside this entire scene. So Rio, he's got a lot in front to pull off, and it's pretty much looking like next to impossible. Tix is just waiting for him in the front as soon as he walks inside the link area. But look at God's Reign. They've also got the spike planet. Rio's going to go for the defuse. The shock darts are on the way as well. Rio's got his recon dart available, but he doesn't have a lot of time to utilize it. He will be taken down in the first round in the favor of God's Reign. A great way to start things off. B control taken so easily.
Yeah, so easily, so quickly. They didn't even try anything else. It's not like they tried to fake or hold their defaults. Nap, it was just a B push in the first 20 seconds of the round itself. Wenka holding the top of B, instantly decimated. And even though Militant had like a double stack towards Garage, God's Reign were able to deal with it quickly before it became a threat. So all in all, within like the first 20-30 seconds of the round, God's Reign had this game in the bag. Let's see if they can continue this momentum or not.
Speaking about the momentum, I'm pretty sure God's Reign will be able to do so, and it seems like they're gonna just replicate what they did in the pistol round. The B-side's completely given away once again. And Autumn's gonna pretty much replicate the same thing that he did in the previous round too. On the site, all the way in the backside, B-side control taken easily in the hand. God's Reign once again, smooth sailing on the B-side for them. On the other hand, though, MLT, they're really just waiting to try and fight the frag and maybe take a sweet time to try and pull something off here. The God's Reign, they're really just lining this up.
Last player standing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very hopeful now, does it? I tried to make it look like it's gonna be a fair fight. Militant Esports,
Yeah.
unfortunately, were never destined to win this round. As long as Bad Love can do a little bit of damage, it should be fine. That should keep God's Reign economy humble, because that's another issue. You know, Militant Esports often struggle in economy as well, and just because they're stuck in this perpetual cycle of buying once, saving again, buying once, saving again, they can easily fall down a slippery slope, and it can be really difficult to recover from there. So,
You know what,
as long as
Player
they keep
standing.
God's Reign humble, I think they should also be able to sustain themselves.
I've got a question for you, Crips. You know, in the
Shoot.
practice bots, in the shooting range,
Yeah.
if you toggle it all the way to hard, what's your highest score on hard bots?
I hit 20, 21, but I'm not very consistent on it.
Hard bots. I'm talking about
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
20,
But like I
22
said-
on hard bots.
But I'm not consistent. Either way, Venka seems to be very consistent. Sai instantly comes through with the trade. A smoke to lock them out of the B side, but I don't think God's Reign are going for the B side yet. The spike is all the way towards the back of attacking spawn.
He's also getting the drone done. And surprisingly, he's also playing the role of Sova. I thought, considering Ember's not going to be in here, he will need to try and play the controller role, but no, that's not the case. Tix instead has taken over the controller role. Side Dreams is going to be sticking to his comfort on Sova, making their way towards the A site. Of course, there was a little trade. Venka's being lost on the side of MLT. And God's Reign have lost out on Tix, so they've got no smokes to work with. God's Reign, they will need to go in raw. And that's what it seems like. They've got the players, of course, tax outside A main. There is a recon dart available. And Rio, he might just have a high chance of countering this entire push, considering there's no smokes on the board. And there we go. As I said, Rio finds the opening.
And this is
30
something they
seconds
needed.
left.
Militant Esports finally have a chance of putting around on the board.
Spike planted.
The spike will go down regardless, but at least Militant Esports have the advantage. The crossfires from Godlike on the Wait, on the other hand, are non-existent. They're going for the aggression right away. They have to. It's not like they had any other choice.
One enemy
If they held their
remaining.
ground, then Militant Esports would have had a fair fight, and they finally get this round.
God's Reign, the overextension wasn't really needed on the defender spawn. They should have just stayed on the site.
Actually, no, I'm sorry, I disagree with that one. They needed to push out, but they could have gotten a kill and fallen back. I guess they were caught off guard while they were trying to fall back. But the idea over there was there's only two people who can hold the crossfire between Graffiti and Underhell.
One enemy remaining.
And if those two players somehow break that crossfire, if the crossfire is dealt with, then Militant Esports will have the round easily. So I guess God's Reign needed to play a little aggressively to neutralize the man advantage first, keep the odds somewhat equal, and that's when they could have played passively after they got that kill onto the first Militant player. But then again, Militant was really quick on trading.
I feel like on that push, they took a huge gamble. They didn't know exactly how many players were waiting for them outside. Yeah, it makes a lot
they
of
had
sense
to.
for the guy to position himself pretty close with respect to Spectre's in its prime in the close range before. Now I'm going to talk about this round. Speaking about the prime, Autumn's definitely looking as his prime. Was able to shut down the player on the C site, and now the controller on the other side, which is MLT, is not going to be alive anymore. So that means no smoke left over for the retakes. That's a little problematic. Definitely it is. And now, on the other hand, Autumn, once again, he's able to kick things off so well for his team. He's always there to find those entries, and he's taking those aim duels and coming out on top.
Yeah, it just really looks so clean now, doesn't it? And this is the default of God's Reign that I was talking about. They spend the first 30-something seconds of the round getting a kill on Garage and then trying to get out of C. Then they go all the way towards A, and now it's back to C. So God's Reign just keep on alternating between these sites like a pendulum. They keep on swinging back and forth, and millions are left scratching their heads.
Another shot from Autumn. This man, he's like an headshot machine right now. Just connecting those dots together. And now the rest two players that are alive from MLT, there's a high chance they're probably going to go for some exit frags. Or rather a save. Vupor might just be the man who's going straight up walking his crosser. Vupor being shut down. He's been rewarded with a vandal in the hand. It's a 2-on-4 scenario. Definitely clutchable. But the odds are still stacking with God's Reign heavily. So I'm pretty sure MLT will just try to go for some exit frags, try to put a little dent on the opponent's economy.
Yeah, they might be able to put a dent in the economy of God's Reign, but Militant now themselves are caught in this weird cycle of having to buy and save again and again. And I hate it that when a team gets stuck in a perpetual loop like this. We've seen what happens when those graphs start to alternate between up and down, and you need to find a way through it. It's a vicious cycle, difficult to break, and God's Reign will try to keep you inside it, pinned down for as long as possible.
That's true. And I also heard recently God's Reign, they made their own boot camp, right? Like, I don't exactly remember.
Right here.
Yeah, God's Reign, they showcased their own boot camp, and it's one of the best boot camps out there. You guys should definitely go and check that out. There should be some sort of video available. Don't exactly know. I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it, that it's one of the best boot camps out there. So definitely you guys should go and check that out. But on the other hand, though, God's Reign, all the 5 players just stacked outside A. Side Dreams is as well, just droning it out. He doesn't exactly know. He isn't confident if there's something available on the short area. It's being watched. I don't just want to give away the watch like that. Earth Fury utilized, but no tags found. That's a little problematic for them, definitely. But in the end, he did find a little tag onto Tix. Rio only has a sheriff in the hand.
This was supposed to be a kill, though. One of the people got stunned from God's Reign. Badman used his fault line and it actually caught someone. And that obviously makes it difficult to move, difficult to dodge the Hunter's Fury. So if that would have been a kill, then things would have been somewhat easy for Militant now. But here we go, the A side under assault yet again. Rio looking to send that recon out, hoping it will ping somebody and he can get a free kill into smoke. But this won't happen again. Happened once before, not anymore.
Utilities are just being thrown in. Trying to chip off some damage, get some early advantage inside this post-plant scenario. Size taken down to 74 HP, of course, soften up a little bit. But that's going to be more than enough. They've got, of course, the guns to play around it. Now the crossfire set up pretty well as well. Ventus going to straight up dash inside the site and also found the opening for his team. God's Reign, they found 2 of their own. And Side Dreams with a huge spray down finds 2.
Amazing stuff by God's Reign. That's what happens when they've got the man advantage and they don't need to peek out aggressively. You know that debate we had earlier on when we were discussing whether or not God's Reign should have pushed towards the defender spawn when they were trying to defend the retake on A. I mean, at that point, God's Reign unfortunately had the man disadvantage. So they needed to somehow neutralize the situation. If they did not, then even if they hold the strongest of crossfires, eventually they will get traded out. But this time, because God's Reign had the man advantage, they never needed to play aggressively. They played all the way back, one towards default, a crossfire between the Hell and the Graffiti guy, and it works out just fine.
Look at this. Every single player just stacked towards C. And MLT Esports, they're going to be greeted with a lot of guns to their faces. Position for himself. He whiffed all the knives, and now God's Reign. Here we go. You'll need to face the wrath. They found 2, and those are 2 huge picks. And look at Vapor all the way sneaking up inside Garage successfully without even giving his position away. Bad Love still, though. He has a little suspicion that there's someone still inside Garage. He's going to hold the angle down. But Vapor, this man is just so calm and composed, so patient. He's not going to do or move anything as long as he's going to get called from the IGL to do so. Autumn's quite low, so of course Autumn's will need to take things a little slow for himself, but on the other hand now Bad Love's being tagged a bit too much. Seaside easily taken in hand, and now one less man to go, and that's Badman.
Militant Esports are getting pushed around, pulled around, just being toyed with. And God's Reign are that kind of a team. They're really annoying to play against, especially when you're defending against them on Haven. They push and pull so hard, they apply pressure towards every part of the map, and even though at the very start of the round God's Reign clearly showed presence towards the C side, even got a couple of kills, Militant were not committing to C full time. They still had a couple of players on B, and when the B guy died, it was just down to them and the A guy. And even then, they are forced to keep someone on the A side because God's Reign cut sound. After they got those few frags early on, they waited for a second before they actually hit the C side with full force and tried to go in for the spike plant. And in those few seconds when there's absolutely nothing going on and when Militant Esports can't really see anything, that's when things start to get really, really dicey. That's when Militants start to get into their own head, and God's Reign want to keep it that way. It is by design that God's Reign play patiently in the mid game, making their opponents often outthink themselves, often overthink themselves to death.
And speaking about outthinking your opponents, this tactical timeout is taken from MLT to figure stuff out. What exactly is going wrong with God's Reign?
I mean, God's Reign just basically want Militant Esports to overthink, you know, and you know what happens when people overthink. You get inside your own head, you become your own worst enemy. Do you ever face this problem? Okay, I know this is a little off topic, this is a little away from esports, but do you suffer from that problem? I do. I overthink a lot. Keeps me up at night all the time.
I mean, as a player, if you have the competitive nature in yourself, you will definitely overthink, 100%. Even if one bad performance is there, you will start overthinking about that. How did I play so bad? What exactly went wrong? You will always overthink your performances, but I'm a little paranoid. I'm a little worried for Venka, but he dashes back. At least for now, he's safe. I thought the operator is going to be gifted away to the opponents, but that's not going to be the case. He finds the opening. That was crucially needed. MLT, they're able to capitalize on stuff. They realized that God's Reign, they're always peeking out individually, getting those picks, and then instantly falling back and trying to fiddle with their minds. But this time, it's Venka who finds the opening. And MLT, they're starting to capitalize from the back lines as well. As soon as the contact was made on A, Knight Rider started to close in from the back, but Hoax has now activated himself.
Oh, and keep this in mind, Knight Rider will not be detected. There's no other utility marking him. Oh, why do you need utility when you've got the Killjoy himself marking the angle? Vibor doesn't need any alarm bots or turrets. He can see the area himself, and now that the backtrap has been spotted, he leaves an alarm bot over there and signals his team to continue pressing the attack further in A. And they are getting all the kills. Dix is able to get that frag onto Battle of. Even Rio goes down. Venka feels compelled to make a play. That was a brave suicidal push, but like I said, it will result in his death after a first frag.
Yeah, that was quite a brave move. High risk, high reward, of course. Yeah, he got the first kill, but the trade was instantly there. Side dreams to close out the stuff. He only had 16 HP in his hands, and he managed to clutch out the round for his team. So God's Reign, another round on the board. Of course, now they're starting to run away with a huge lead, and now their economy as well is looking so strong. Definitely, it's looking next to impossible to counter God's Reign, considering even the players at MLT Esports, they had a little advantage early off inside this entire round, but they still unfortunately weren't able to capitalize on that.
Exactly. Venka was able to get that first frag by jumping onto the higher ground. Autumn's Cloudburst did not cover the angle, but despite that, God's Reign focused heavily towards A long, and while a couple of their players did go inside sewers, they did make first contact. The long players applied pressure first, and then the A short players held their ground. Fault line was thrown in, and that's how you crunch Militant Esports. Even in this round, you see, Militant Esports tried their level best. They tried to stack 3 people on the B side, hoping that the frags would go their way. Do they? Do they? They do not, my friend. It is unfortunate.
Look at this. MLT, they don't even have a lot of utility to rely on. Rio is completely out of utilities. Badman has got only 1 flash left in his pocket. So definitely MLT, they're quite in a critical condition for now. Inside Dreams is just able to punish those players who are trying to push the boundaries. God's Reign slowly and steadily creeping inside the site. It really feels like even though God's Reign, they're having a huge advantage, they're still respecting their opponents.
Yeah, that's just their discipline. And that's just what the playstyle of God's Reign look like. They will never try to full send it in unless it's the plan right from the start. If it's the mid game, they will take it nicely and methodically. Autumn, though, his plan of playing first contact doesn't work accordingly. Batman blows his head off, and that's a clean shed of shot, but unfortunately he can't recover the gun yet.
Shouldn't have played that close, especially when you know the opponent's on an eco. And not a duels like those, and Vibor, here we go. The man's unleashed. And Vibor able to stop them in their tracks. I mean, yeah, it was an eco round, but still, those eco rounds are something that gives you a lot of confidence. I don't know if you guys have seen recently, but I was watching VCT EMEA, not just happened in VCT EMEA, even that happened in lock-in as well. Where on the eco rounds, teams are, especially after the pistol round, the eco rounds there, on that eco round, teams usually try to save themselves, and when the spike detonates, that's when they kill themselves pretty much with the spike detonation. What that allows is of course, the credits advantage that the opponent will be getting after every single kill, but at the same time, the most big advantage they're nullifying with that move is those ultimate orbs that opponents will be farming inside the eco rounds.
This is a fast one. Hunter's Fury committed already. Battler tried to dodge it, but fancy footwork won't save him from Psy. Autumn remaining steadfast behind his sight. The aftershock finally clears him out, and even the flash helps the better of him. Before standing tall like a turret, Psy though now has to do everything by himself. He helped his team get the first few frags with the Hunter's Fury, but now he needs to make this flank. Knight Rider ready to mark him, and he's done it. Militant finally get around on board.
And that's a good round too. A good way to start things off. It was a fast rush from God's Reign, but instantly they got countered pretty well. Some good stuff from Militant. They were able to stop them on that entire C site. A quick rotation was seen. But MLT Esports, their work isn't cut out just yet. Opponents still have 7 rounds in their hands, and their economy isn't even close to be broken. They've still got a lot of credits left in the pockets, which they can rely on in the upcoming rounds. But now we're seeing Autumn with the operator in the hand. Interesting stuff. On the attacking side, he's got the operator. Of course, wants to challenge a head-on-head duel against him. The smoke was there to give him the advantage. He does find the advantage too, and also the kill to be rewarded.
Can it be traded? Knight Rider wants it. It's calling out his name. It's beckoning to him, but Autumn is prepared again.
What? These players are just pushing out one after the other. The alarm bots play so well. Gives Bad Love's entire flank away. All the intentions are now known, and look at this switch up that the pace is showing from God's Reign. A huge switch in the pace. And now MLT, they're starting to overthink the entire scenario. Side Dreams was found, unfortunately. But now the entire 3-man lineup from MLT will still have a lot of pressure because the B side's about to be executed and there's no one present on the B side.
It's quite a glaring hole in their defense, but B isn't the problem anymore. Even A is being assaulted. Badman thought he was safe as he was holding that area. Rio tries to help him out, and yep, you're right. He's on the verge of an ace, and Bad Love's headed right towards him.
Autumn definitely disappointed in himself because he was not able to get the ace, but it's fine. He got the 4K. He's also able to perform a lot of credits with that. Ooh, that's a nice shot from Bad Love. Crispy headshot onto Tix. Tix knows now I'm not going to try to overcommit because there's a high chance Bad Love might just be able to capitalize and pretty much clutch out the entire scenario. Report's playing quite an aggressive angle against Bad Love. But Bad Love, on the other hand, knows there might be someone approaching him. That flanks so well and is also going for the operator save. But Bad Love wants to pull off something miraculous inside this. The save's looking next to impossible.
Save is impossible. This is one of the first times that you will see somebody picking up an op on the attacking side of Haven. Yes, you've seen it before, but teams don't do it often. Especially not when they're able to get all the kills they need without even having to pull one out. God's Reign, on the other hand, they are making Militant Esports look like a bunch of jumps.
Yeah.
They're making them move around so much, and even the rotations that Militant Esports are doing right now seem futile because B was left wide open in the previous round, and the funny part is, somewhat, to some extent, Militant saw it coming, the A push after the B commitment, and despite knowing all that, even though you had Badman prepared over there, he wasn't able to stop them. And the trades from Militant Esports just don't seem to exist because they're fighting one by one. Over here yet again, Venka's going into it, Siva's by himself. Meanwhile, Rio, poor guy, he's all by himself towards the site. At least the backup from Batman has arrived. The flashes do work, but
oh my god, he
doesn't kill anyone.
Spike down.
At least
A.
he redeemed himself with that classic, but still, oh, that was one of those shots that you aren't going to find an opportunity to take down so easily. Venka missed his shot, missed his opportunity, and missed his life as well in that scenario. Knight Rider is now trying to fill some stuff that is being left out completely by his teams, but it's going to be next to impossible to fill up the void. And in the end, as always, God's Reign, they ran out stronger than their opponents. Once again, I mean, there could have been a fair chance if Venka was able to hit a shot and maybe take down Autumn over there, because he would have still got those blades back in his hands and maybe try to pull off another clutch play, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And Venka, I'm pretty sure, is going to be kicking his own feet after that.
Yeah, but it's funny how he doesn't get a kill with the Blade Storm, but kills one with the Classic instead. Statistically, it should be way harder to kill someone with the Classic. Anyway, that's not the problem. The problem is, even though MLT Esports figured out that God's Reign are heading towards A, and even though the rotations were inbound, they once again couldn't fight with each other. Rio died by himself, Venka died alone, Batman helped out with the flashes, but eventually went down in a lonely grave. Venka this time pushing out of grass. There's a little bit of backup presence from Batman, and he's able to catch Sai off guard, but Sai still wins the duel. Hell, forget winning the duel, he doubles up.
Oh, Venka is not having the time of his life. This series, Venka is definitely having some jitters. He's whiffing those shots we've never seen Venka miss before. And I know those jitters, man. When you start overthinking a lot of those scenarios, when you start over-respecting your opponents, those jitters start coming in your play. You can't help it. You start missing those shots that you're not supposed to. And I'm hopeful that Venka will be able to get rid of those jitters in the upcoming matchups, because if he's not able to, then there will need to be someone who will be stepping things up for his entire team. But with that being said, the first half is going to be closed out on 10-2, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, God's Reign, they're on an absolute prowl. They're on a beast mode.
Yeah, and these beasts seem untamable. Can MLT Esports crack out the whip, tame these beasts, and somehow mount a comeback in the second half? There's a silver lining. God's Reign have always been stronger on the attacking side, but does that mean MLT Esports can stop them on defense? We'll find out in the next half.
Can't for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Can't for my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
Welcome back into the second half, ladies and gentlemen. The players are, of course, locked in, and they're waiting to be unleashed by this entire timer that's been ticking so far, slowly and steadily. So what do you think, Crips? Do MLT stand a chance? Be completely honest. I want your realistic expectations. I mean, 10-2 is the half. We have seen comebacks in the past.
We have seen
do you think
comebacks.
MLT will be able to mount it?
Yes, we have seen comebacks in the past, but MLT don't seem like the team that's cut out for it. It's not just the tactical outmaneuverability that you have to account for when it comes to a team like God's Reign, but Militant are simply not able to hit their shots in certain occasions. This time they go for a fast B hit, which turns into an A-link take. But the plant is still going down towards B. Wait, what?
No.
Spike down B.
No, they're pulling out fancy stuff when it's not needed. They're trying to pull, as I said, if the fancy plays are needed, you don't need to pull them off. They got the B side control. They try to add on something new like a cherry on top of the cake, but it just didn't work out. Wanted to go for the A side, which wasn't needed at all. They could have just got the plant down, instantly fell back.
Spike
but
planted.
once again, just wanted to fiddle with the enemy minds, I guess. But Hoax is now the last man alive, and he's also got a huge glimmer to clutch out this entire round, considering Hoax. Things have been working out pretty fine for him. He's also got a decent piece of utility left. He's got 2 flashes left in his hands. But the classic, of course, it's going to be tough to connect those shots in the long ranges. He's got 2 flashes available, still holding out on those flashes. He hasn't used any single one of them. But Venka, he starts hitting those shots in the second half. Oh, we're talking about those jitters. It seems like he's got rid of those.
I hope he's got rid of those, because this round, at least to me, did not make a lot of sense. On paper, MLT Esports shouldn't have been able to win this one. They had a little indecisive moment. They started to take B, take control of A link, and then it seemed like they were all heading towards the A site instead of just clearing that area out for a no-smoke plant. The plant goes back down towards B, and as soon as that happens, you have God's Reign pouncing inside. Even when they try to backstab, you've got Rio, who's for some reason holding attacking spawn at like 1 minute into the round. It did not make all that much sense to me, because if Rio died over there was nobody to trade out the last man. So yes, Militant win the round, but no, it still doesn't seem like a good enough take for me. This could have been cleaner and Militant could have played better. At least they now get the chance to cover up a little bit of deficit. God's Reign with inferior weaponry have to stop them in their tracks as Militant barge towards the A site with full force. All 5 players marching on.
Autumn's so screwed all by himself on the site with the Marshall in the hand, and MLT Esports, they got the side control, so that's good news for them. Look at this flank. Oh, that could have been close. Vapor just jumps in front of his opponent, but at the end of the day, their tracking's there, and that's why Vapor gets taken down. It's mental.
Player
It's
standing.
not the entire game, but those shots from Hoax are disgusting. 2 clean sheriff headshots. You're trying to equalize stuff inside Dreams. It's just jumping around like a monkey. Just baiting out those Marshall shots. It actually looks so funny as well.
It does add to the entertainment value quite a lot. Kind of makes MLT mistake all their confidence for a little bit of charade. But that's not a problem for MLT yet. The problems will start in the next round. Yeah, it is cute, but now the problems will begin. Because God's Reign have the money, Militant have somewhat of a bonus. 2 of their players can reinvest into bigger guns. But are those 2 guns going to be enough?
Highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. Because just 2 guns, considering their opponents, they have been able to win those duels successfully over and over again inside those gun rounds, at least in the first half. That proves a lot of stuff. But Crips, do you have a pet?
No.
You don't?
Unless you consider Wingman as a pet. I do have Gecko unlocked, so I get to play with those
I'm
kind
talking
of
about
pets.
real life, man. Come on.
Nah,
I understand we're gamers. We are in those screens all the time, but sometimes we gotta think out the box. Just like there's a little quote written on Icebox. I don't know if you guys remember. But for now, let's move on over towards the game. As God's Reign, the players are now definitely starting to walk inside the site. And God's Reign, unfortunately, they aren't able to get the hold or at least the claw back inside the site. But Vapor's still able to find a nice spam.
Spike
Yeah, and that
planted.
spam, well, it doesn't get him all that much. MLT Esports are being forced back into the site. I'm actually surprised they haven't taken to C long yet. And this is exactly why I said that when an attacking team has a disadvantage, they need to fight a little aggressively to neutralize that disadvantage. And then when it backs to a 3v3, you can make those moves. Godlike circling around them, and it's a huge kill for him. Lovely way that Militant handled in this round.
Wait, that's huge. They won the bonus round, Crips. And
Yep.
now they've also upgraded all the weapons. So imagine the amount of economy this team has now.
Spike down. C.
That's incredible. MLT Esports, they critically needed this round, and they got it in the hand too. And all props to Bad Love. This flank just worked out so beautifully. Beautiful lurk from that man. And now Venka even has the Blade Storms available if he wants to utilize those. But I don't think so he's going to be using those for now, because MLT, they're looking pretty comfortable. They're having a nice cushion when it comes to the economical side. And the comeback definitely seems like it's starting to mount slowly and steadily.
Let's hope that it can keep on stacking up. Drones thrown inside. Vapor not spotted yet, but God's Reign are playing super aggressively towards A lobby. 4 of them are about to peek out of here. Nitride is the bodyguard. He's supposed to keep them at bay. And while he isn't able to do that by himself, Battle of helps him out a little bit. Meanwhile, a push towards C also takes place, and Militant have at least taken this site under control, so the plant can go down. But we've got Bad Love and Rio both on extremely low amounts of HP. A single shot should be able to finish them off.
Yeah, they're softening up quite a bit here, man. I'm a little worried, to be honest. 68 HP as well in the hand of their opponents, but look at Venka's positioning gets compromised. Now I'm definitely worried for them. MLT Esports not around. They definitely want to lose out, but at least the trades are there. Something that's going to add on a little bit of more glimmer of hope, but the shock dart doesn't connect. Something that's going to add on a little bit more problem inside this entire play. Hoax, once again, is the last man left to clutch things out. Rio just going to jump spot. Knows Hoax is not holding the angle. But look at Rio, he might just get a little impatient. And he exactly does. But luckily enough, the time runs out.
I'm very, very happy that MLT Esports are playing these rounds down to the wire. They've been using the seaside like their bread and butter for now. They found quite a lot of success over here too. And they kind of realized that God's Reign almost tend to fall back every time whenever there's too much pressure on the seaside.
Oh. That's the GE Army right there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Our Phoenix roster is sitting over there. At least some of the members
Yeah, considering. Yeah, you're working in the... GE, of course. You must have been informed about this, right? There's going to be some audiences from GE today.
Yeah, I mean, these guys were there since quite a long time. Even SK
Really?
Rossi and Rushinda Sinha joined them the other day. Of course, now they're preparing to go to Korea.
Yeah.
I'm kind of nervous about this one. Autumn's ready to take contact. And he
Spike
stays his
down,
ground.
C.
The Cloudburst holds them back for the moment. But he's able to dash back to safety as well. This is amazing. I thought Autumn was a one and done over there. Even with the dash and everything active, I thought they should have been able to trade him out. But this is amazing. Now he's pushed Millicent back.
4 players still up and alive, though. And at Militant, of course, starting this round out for the disadvantage. But so far, they've been able to win stuff, so that's all that matters. They've got 6th round in the hands. Of course, now, this entire competition is looking way closer than it did before. And on attacking side, MLT is looking way too phenomenal. Venka, once again, the man to entry. Bad Luck this time will be the man to peek out, but no smokes are being used. They're trying to take some dry duels, but it works out in the favor of God's Reign side. That was a nice pick to start things off, and now considering they don't have any smokes, they're going to try to use the jet smokes to make the entry, but it's not going to stop Sai anytime soon. This man is on an absolute tear. He doesn't need vision of his enemies. He will shoot you down through the smoke. And bad man, that little glimmer is going to be more than enough for Sai to capitalize, but the operator's waiting on the other side.
left.
He should not get impatient if he wants that final kill in his hands too.
I don't think he's doing anything, man. Time's run out.
Oh, he's wrapping up all the way from the back.
Chill, chill, chill. Night Rider gets to save this up. No problem.
Nails in the chat. That got close. Maybe it didn't. But yeah, still, if that kill was found, that could have been huge.
Down A.
I like how Sai just held his
30
ground over
seconds
here.
left.
So many times re-peeking out of heaven.
One
Just
enemy
absolutely
remaining.
not afraid to give them a fight once again. Most defending teams, after they get that man advantage, they would usually play passively and try to preserve the advantage. But not Sai. He knows he's got the advantage going into that angle. They've lost their Omen. They don't have anything to block out the smokes on heaven. And as soon as Sai saw that cloudburst coming, he knew that his opponents were desperate. So he will gladly fight them again. 11-6 for God's Reign. They've managed to get their first round of the second half. But hey, from 10-2 to 6-11, I think MLT Esports are playing well so far. As long as they don't give any more round to God's Reign and keep up this pace, I think we might have a close game on our hands. This tactical timeout should help them out as well. I think what they will probably be discussing is how God's Reign are going to be playing aggressively. MLT Esports are always very about playing in a very defaultish manner because they expect their opponents to give a little bit of aggro at the start of the round, which generally is the case with a team like God's Reign. But every time you've got this AWP in the hands of Autumn, he will be in a different position. So he doesn't need to play aggressively unless he doesn't find too much action at the start. And now he does. Badman taken off. 2 players have crossed in, but this is a very bold plant attempt. No smokes were put down yet, and yet they were trying to go ahead with it. At least the spike gets recovered. Battler makes a risky jump to retrieve it. And God's Reign realized they've lost their spike. They know that Militant Esports could be heading back towards A. It was empty for a second, and that's exactly why Vibor is bunny hopping towards heaven just to mark that angle. He gets there in time, but unfortunately Rio's a bit faster. Meanwhile, Autumn just doing Autumn things.
Yeah, those pixel shots are just so quick. It's even tough for us to react that quick, but Autumn, this man, that little pixel is going to be more than enough to hold the angle down. It's a nice dark cover to disable the operator pretty much. And now Autumn's also caught a little spam through the smoke. MLT, the side take was definitely quite perfect, but now this flank, is it going to be expected? That's my big question. Paranoia was utilized too, and the side take is in process. Rio, the last man, the final torch burning, but it's being vanquished.
It's been snuffed out, extinguished. This little glimmer of hope that was available to Militant Esports after they were able to win the pistol and the subsequent rounds has now been taken away. And while the people in God's Reign Bootcamp are obviously happy about their performance, I do kind of feel a little sad for Militant Esports because they're playing in a map in which they're clearly uncomfortable. And you can see the mistakes coming out from them. They started to commit the spike plant before the smokes were even placed down. Of course, there will be counter utility thrown at you. This time it was an aftershock. Under normal circumstances, one person might just completely swing you out of the blue. So yes, Militant Esports need to somehow show presence towards all the parts of the map and bait out the utility from God's Reign so that when Militant then actually go for the real push, Militant don't have anything to stop them in their tracks. But in order to do that, they need to first bait out that utility from God's Reign, which Militant haven't been able to do so yet. God's Reign are playing according to their own whims and fancies. They've left the garage and B area relatively open with only Vibhor holding the area. And he also is going to be playing on the back of his contact. The shock dart destroys util quite early, but his turret can still mark enemies. And there you have it, Venka walking into his crosshair. Vibhor is disgusting right now.
He indeed is. Of course, the flashes are used too to trying to suppress the players in the front, but MLT, they're always there with the replies. While on this attacking side, MLT is just looking much more confident. Every single player just seems much more in sync, and look at this lurk from Bad Love. This might just prove out to be the huge lurk. But God's Reign, they're now starting to fall back. They've given the side control, respecting the entire opponent's lineup. The turret's going to give away the position, and Knight Rider steps up huge for his team. Not a lot of time left on the clock. They're going for the spike plant, but the round difference is quite huge. If you ask me, will MLT be able to make a comeback from such a huge round difference? I highly doubt. It seems next to impossible. God's Reign, they're always respecting their opponents, yeah, but there will be some round where God's Reign will try to capitalize and be proactive.
God's Reign definitely can be proactive. They've done it in the past. Even in the last couple of rounds, we saw how Autumn was playing aggressively with the op towards C long. He pushed in once, and then later he was playing very passively from the back of B side. So God's Reign basically want to keep changing up their setup every now and then so they can throw Militant off guard. As long as Militant can't predict what God's Reign is about to do, as long as all these wins seem like a stroke of luck for Militant, it's all fine because it's all going according to God's plan.
God's plan. It reminded me of a song.
Yeah, that's probably why I made that joke, you know. It gets less funny if you repeat it.
I didn't get the joke, man. My bad.
Oh, God.
I'm a fan of Drake, though. I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the chat as well are a fan of Drake. Right. But,
yeah, but you're asking me to repeat that joke, and that's just...
You know what, Crips? I'll send you a 2-page written apology for that. Not bad.
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know you could write.
Maybe... Oh, damn, dude. I guess we're roasting each other now. Before now. God's Reign. They're about to get glazed up by their opponents. Oh, the rolling thunder utilized as well, and now every single player on this side, of course, gonna get stunned up. But there's a counter rolling thunder waiting from Hoax, and it will be used too to try and stop the spike plant. But unfortunately, it was a second late. The spike plant goes down. MLT, they're trying their best to fight back. Rio tried his best as well, but unfortunately, that man gets compromised. Still 3 players up and alive. Ticks all by himself to try and clutch things out, and he connects those bursts pretty well.
Cover going out.
And there's plenty of time, too. He can try and TP inside the smoke, but Batman's prepared for this one. Yeah, these are the kind of TP plays that will not work. It kind of reminds you of that one TP play that worked for Dominic when ASTER Army was facing Orangutan. It still blows my mind to this day.
Ooh, that was a nice dash on the site. And also got rewarded with the kill. I'm liking the confidence that MLT is bringing to the table, of course. And now they're also being rewarded with the kills. This is definitely a sign of concern for Godlike, considering we expected a complete one-sided stomp.
Yeah.
But MLT Esports, they're starting to claw their way back inside this competition. Yeah. Godlike are, of course, on a match point, and they're really getting desperate to close things out on the map of Haven. But over and over again, these over-aggressive situations are really just giving a huge advantage to their opponents instead of giving it to Godlike. First man compromise, capitalize, and now Badman's gonna just filter out the entire site with his own players. MLT, they got the site control. The lockdown's invested from the opponents. The report, he will have a smooth gliding on the site, but he's still getting a little too aggressive. Aftershock used to shut down the entire lockdown. It's gonna be shut down. The Godlike, in the end, they claw or they get the grip back on the A site.
Amazing stuff. God's reign. They struggled a little in the second half, but they get this victory in the end regardless. 10-2 is the first half, and at that point, victory seemed inevitable for them. You still have to give credit to MLT Esports for making it slightly competitive for them. The fact that you were able to go from 2 rounds to 8, it's quite impressive.
Yeah. That's a huge leap inside rounds, and you need a lot of confidence. As we said, in the first half, Venka wasn't even able to connect those shots, but still, Venka started connecting those dots. Instantly, the pistol round kicked off in the second half. So you got to give props to the players of MLT. They're looking much more confident on the attacking half compared to their defending half, which should be completely opposite. They should be more confident on their defending half, but so far that's what the stars are aligned at. So hopefully MLT, they will be able to keep the momentum going in the further as well, because later on it seemed like they were able to shake off those jitters. But we'll have the conversation continue after this short break.
Came for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Making dreams come true and memories happier.
I know my destiny.
Pearl inside VCSA, and this is where we might just see a little changes from the side of God's Reign. Ember's back.
Oh, wait. Alright then. Ember's back. They've subbed out Sai. I guess they have it on a map basis when basically Sai will be playing in Haven and Ember will be playing in Pearl. Basically a map which requires Ticks and Hawks to be on initiators. They will sub Sai out,
Harbor, wait.
and Ember will come back when it comes to the controller. But
Yes!
Militant picking up Harbor is something that I have been waiting for since so long. This is the first Harbor appearance in the entire VCL South Asia.
I am so happy that we're seeing a Harbor Viper combination, and I just want to see this being used to its fullest potential, just the way we saw in Lock-In. Because this composition overall has so much potential if used right. And even if it's not being used right, you just have still so much, no matter what, so much visual, deniable utilities that you can keep on denying the opponent's vision over and over again. Oh boy. This composition is definitely going to be a huge pain for God's Reign.
Well, let's see if this amount of pain can actually be inflicted to God's Reign or not. Militant Esports, they seem to be on a gambly mood right off the bat. They have 4 players outside of A. Only Knight Rider marking B. And as soon as he sees this army of God's Reign players heading towards him, he just is gonna fall back. There's absolutely no point trying to contest this and giving up your life for no reason.
Ooh, that was a nice fade reveal to start things off, but MLT Knight Rider, that shot just hands out a haircut to Autumn instantly. In God's Reign, they're also extending towards the link control. They just want to get it back in their hands. Puvenka, on the other hand, is waiting now patiently. He knows he was getting punished, or he knows he was getting pushed over. MLT, they've got a flank of their own, working on for the back lines from all the way in B long. The Harbor and Viper moving in together. Will of course have a lot of visual deniable utilities, but I want to see how they're going to be utilizing that inside this entire retake. The high tide's out from Harbor to try and cover some stuff for himself, but MLT, they're going to stick to Steve Fuse, and the defense is being stuck. Hawks has got no clue about that, but at the end of the day, God's Reign, they still get their hands back inside this round.
Okay, there were quite a lot of questions. God's Reign, I started to question them because they did not place any smokes in the beginning, which does make sense because as soon as you get this kill on Knight Rider, the rest of them, instead of planting and falling back towards the top of B ramp, they pushed all the way deep inside towards B link as well as towards the defender's spawn, which kind of tells you why there wasn't a smoke right off the bat early on. They just put one on Heaven at the start, and then they all used that area which wasn't covered to take control deeper. They knew for a fact that God's Reign would come in from the back line, so there's no point trying to fight towards the top of B ramp. They might as well fight them on their own turf. Now, once again, God's Reign approaching the B side. This time, though, Militant Esports are prepared. There's 3 waiting for them over here.
One suppress. That's a good suppress. 0 point to try and suppress stuff out. Killjoy utility still going to be inactive. Knight Rider playing in the front a little bit. God's Reign, the distraction, it seems like it definitely worked out. 4 players are being rotated all the way towards the B side. Venka as well is towards the Heaven area. Now God's Reign, they're going to start to reroute their way back inside the B side. A lot of interesting decisions being made from the side of God's Reign. Even though they have the just advantage, they're still respecting their opponents too much. This is what's giving the players of MLT Esports a chance to capitalize. Venka's taken down way too low. It's a high chance that he's not going to be able to find anything, but he still does find one and pretty much take down another man quite low. 2 players up and alive, making down to none as MLT Esports, they lose out another round.
Yeah, but at least this was a round where they tried to fight back. At least they didn't get completely outmaneuvered and pincered like they did in the previous round. So that's at least some glimmer of hope. But speaking of hope, God's Reign are starting to really bother me over here because the way they fight is so difficult to counter, you know. Everybody is sticking with each other. It's almost like all 5 of those players will peek you at the same time. So there's really no chance of isolating these 1v1s.
Speak about isolating the duels, and MLT this time they're being quite proactive. They've set up Wenka
Can't use that. Time to
right behind that box. And MLT, they're using the Trailblazers can't stuff out. The player stun getting quite close before things didn't work out. That's their killjoy. The only Sentinel inside the game they had available, taken out. Not a good news for this side of God's Reign, but definitely they can capitalize. The round's still now phased away from their hands. There is a Vandal available in the front. If Autumn does want to go for the upgrade, he definitely will, and he exactly does so. Retrieves the Vandal in his hands, and now he's got a better chance to try and come out on top.
Oh, okay then. MLT Esports having acquired the man advantage of falling back because obviously they don't need to play aggressively anymore. This is actually a good thing. Most defender teams will do this after they have the advantage. They'll just play passively, hoping to just somehow keep that advantage alive, to somehow maintain it, preserve it, and they're doing a good job of it so far. But the moment I say that, a seize and fragment combination kills Batman.
Spike planted.
That was such a good way to kill the man. Fragment just plays so perfectly.
Wow.
And what is this ban from Hoax? Venka, he gets a reply back, but this time a much more stronger reply from Hoax. With just a bulldog in the hand, this man's on a mission. He's already got a 3K for his team, and he's able to flip the table, flip the odds in his team's favor. Ticks! A disgusting shot to nullify Bad Love. And now Rio, the last man up and alive. A huge mission in front of him to conquer this entire site, which seems next to impossible. We'll get a Vandal, and we'll instantly fall back to try and save stuff for his team, because he knows in the upcoming round, the economy is going to be none.
Yeah, and that economic problem, I feel like a broken record when I keep saying this again and again. But Militant have an economic problem, and it's been prevalent since their very first game in this tournament. So, yeah, somehow need to fix that. God's Reign, on the other hand, they look pretty strong right now. And especially the way they were able to maneuver around Militant Esports in Haven, Pearl seems to be a much better map for someone like them, because up until now, God's Reign have only exploited B main and A main so far. But what's gonna happen when they start to push down Art even more aggressively than they did in this round? What's gonna happen when they start trying to play around timing and then try to get into the gaps from B-Link, from Art, from maybe even the entire water spawn area? That would be disastrous. Autumn, on the other hand, just killing everybody in cold blood, murdering them mercilessly.
Nice shots to kick things off inside this round. Autumn was able to single-handedly stop the entire push, the proactive nature that was being shown from their opponents. And now God's Reign, they have a huge man advantage which they can rely on. Of course, they've got the superior weaponry in their arsenal too. God's Reign on their way towards B-Long. The Marshal might just shine through well if he's able to connect some dots and maybe connect some heads as well. But no, it's going to be the answer. Knight Rider being forced off his comfort zone. He'll need to fall back inside elbow. He is being suppressed for now, but he finds a nice clean headshot onto Hoax. Takes down one man. Rio, he's got a lot of things to try and deliver for his team.
Unfortunately, when he does have the opportunity of doing so, he
30
doesn't
seconds
have the
left.
right tools and the right players to support him. And once again, Militant Esports find themselves in a crunch. The best that they can do is probably save this Vandal in the hands of Rio, but then again, they have a buy in the next round, so it doesn't make all that much sense. Vipor is just feeling himself, man. The way he's able to just kill both these players who aren't anywhere close to each other, it is a massive red flag. Militant need to stop God's Reign before they get into a position that they can't be dug out of.
And once again, we're just seeing those jitters from MLT in the first half. And that's a huge problem. It needs to be countered. They're not hitting those shots they're supposed to. If you remember, even in the bye round, which was the previous round, MLT, they try to take the arts control back in their hands. One man was on top of the entire wall. He tried to take the head-on-head collision, but he missed the first shots, and then he committed to a spray. Yeah, he did get the kill, but still, that just shows the jittery aim the players and the team is having. And that's a huge issue. You need to keep your mind calm and composed inside such a huge competitive environment. And for now, MLT Esports, once again, they're being forced off their own sites.
Okay, but at least this one isn't completely out of the park yet. Militant Esports are going for a crunch. There's a backstab in the works, and Ember, this timing is unfortunate. He tries to go in for a star placement, but that's when he gets shot. His yoga form gets him dead. Tix also can't hold on to Pillar. There's a lot of pressure being applied, especially with this lockdown, and Militant Esports, they need to keep things competitive. Venka is being pushed even deeper in towards defender spawn. God's Reign know that they can't stay towards the side, otherwise they're gonna get crunched from all the members who are coming in from the back lines. But now the diffuser is underway. The Cove protecting the diffuser, and Bad Love being the bodyguard.
They flip it. Bad Love goes huge for his team. They needed this sort of a clutch scenario, and Bad Love gifted them the round. He got a 3K to start things off inside the entire retake, which looked next to impossible, but they still somehow pull it off. Every single player was positioned so well from God's Reign for that post plant, but those individual duels were lost. I was talking about the aim, the jittery aim, but MLT instantly, they do a good job in taking those duels.
Right there.
Yeah, but at least this time MLT also learned from what's been happening. You see, we've seen God's Reign push in towards the defender spawn before, especially when Militant Esports apply pressure towards B ramp in the retake scenarios. So this time at least God's Reign saw it coming. All that Venka had to do was keep himself alive, and then the pressure would be maintained. But I think I've jinxed him, man. I think I'm a little unlucky for him, because the moment I say his name, he gets killed brutally. And now God's Reign have the side again. This time, instead of aggressing from below towards the defender spawn, they have sent their jet all the way to top. And now Autumn is just waiting for the smoke to fade away so he can murder Badman. Badman never in a million years would have seen this push coming again.
Badman tackled, and now 3 more to go. Tix is like a hitman on a mission. He's trying to be sneaky, but at the same time, he doesn't exactly have any info to work on. And that's why, once again, God's Reign will expect what's exactly happening. MLT going for the save, and God's Reign as well, they'll fall back to their own safety. They don't want to go on a hunt. They don't want to go on a prowl, because they know the opponent, they of course have a lot of players alive, and they will be setting up a nice little crossfire.
Well, there you have it. God's Reign once again off to a flying start. Where have we seen this before? That was a rhetorical. You don't need to answer that. Chill. But something tells me that you weren't gonna answer it anyway. Alright then, Nick. Alright. I see how it is, bro. I see how it is.
You saw the watch party, though. God's Reign. The players are quite happy, man. Every single person that's currently watching in the watch party, they're looking pretty happy. But if you take a look at MLT, look at their arsenal. They've got a lot of ultimates stacked up. They've got the Viper's Pit. They've also got the Lockdown available. They've also got the Reckoning too. So that's huge. MLT, a high chance of retaking site with all the ultimates they've got available. But if God's Reign, eventually, once again, if they do come out on top, that's going to add on a little bit of more problems. But at least for now, it's the players of God's Reign, the players on the other side to put the cherry on top of the cake. Bovenka is the man this time who will hand out a haircut.
The flank, look at the flank coming in from Vibor. He's about to catch everybody off guard. 2 people murdered again. Venka escapes the death which Vibor was dispensing, only to die at the hands of Autumn, who doubles up somehow on Badman. These shots are nutty from God's Reign. And Knight Rider, even with the lockdown, can't do anything. The flash from Hoax is perfect. He throws it underhand, and then Vibor goes up over and above to secure that frag.
Oh boy, yeah, the lurk from Vibor was just so nice and calculated. The timing on that lurk was just perfect. Found 2 in a single spray down.
And this has been... I'm sorry to cut you off over there. This has been cooking for a long time. It's a slowly simmering broth. Because in the first 6 rounds, all that God's Reign did was go A, B, from the main areas only. They touched Art once in the entirety of those 6 round string. And that kind of leads MLT to believe that God's Reign won't be doing it again, and that's exactly when they pull off the flank from Vibor. Just when Militant Esports thought that They are safe from any looks coming in from either Art or from B-Link. Vibor pulls off the impossible, the unthinkable. This time God's Reign going deep into its DA site. Meanwhile, Autumn is still holding Art, hoping to get the timing right.
I'm a bit concerned for MLT because once again they've given the site control away. Yeah, this lockdown's there to try and force them off the site, but is that really gonna matter? Because the spike's planted in their line of sight, and as long as they've got the line of sight, that's all that matters. Cove's utilized to try and give him a little bit of cover while he's trying to stick the defuse, but still, Cove doesn't really tank a lot of bullets. It won't be instantly shut down, but the spike is done all the way up half, so at least now God's Reign will know whichever tap they hear, it's not going to be fake, but it's not even going to matter. God's Reign, they just cleanly stop this entire retake.
God's Reign have been quite successful in doing so. The post plans from God's Reign are actually quite incredible. They are unlike any other team I've seen before. Most teams on Pearl would plant the spike in a position where it can be defended from pillar, from metro, or even from all the way on top of the ramp. If you're planting on A, you either plant towards A main or somewhere in a position where it can be defended from Art, but God's Reign do any of that. Venka this time feeling once again compelled to make a move. Nightrider helps him out a little bit too, but Venka will be burnt alive eventually. The flashes are actually quite nice from Rio, but Nightrider can't capitalize on them. Tix gets the better of him.
I mean, it's just too many utilities flowing your way. It's going to be tough to counter every single utility. They've got the Prowler as well. They've got the KO Flash to try and counter. Then also the Fragment behind the pillar. Venka was a man who was trapped. A little chicken couldn't move out the way. And now Bad Love with the operator in his hands is looking to shut some players down as soon as those duels are being challenged. But he's holding quite a passive angle. He's waiting for them to walk in his crosser. He's also got the Viper's Pit available, but I highly doubt if he's going to be utilizing that or not. A nice 0 point, at least nullify Bad Love for now. And the Marshal doesn't click in. Bad Love being shut down. And now the problems occur once again. Badman and Rio, the last two players up and alive with the sheriffs in the hand. Their job is here to try and get as many bodies as possible because converting the round is looking next to impossible.
Yeah, I don't like how Militant Esports once again went in for those solo pushes. Just battle for some reason. Like I said, when the pressure starts to get in, right, everybody on Militant Esports, they feel compelled to make a move by themselves. They feel like they have to step up. Giving up a site seems so painful for them because in post plans they haven't had much success, so they would much rather die on the side hoping that they can get a player or two down, go down swinging, rather than give up an area, relinquish it, and then play along with your team later on. This time Militant Esports hold nothing back. They've already locked out A main with the Viper's Pit, and they've got Venka on B with the op. It's a two-pronged approach. God's Reign have danger on either side of the map.
Speaking about the danger, God's Reign this time, every single player is just stacked up.
You should run.
The same site, lockdown being invested too. The lockdown's of course going to give them the entire site control back in their hands, but Venka is too adamant. He doesn't want to fall back. He wants to find one pick, a list before he falls back, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case. He will be falling back and respecting the lockdown. And God's Reign, they got an easy plant down once again. Now the post plant continues as God's Reign, they're on a prowl to find some more blood, and they're quite thirsty as Hoax is there to try and put a full stop to the entire fairy tale, but no's gonna be the answer. God's Reign, they answer back once again.
Militant Esports keeping the hope alive as Rio just barrages through the back of B-Halt. The op shots miss. Autumn taken out of the picture. And Vibor now has to play on his nanoswarms. He's buying time, but he's gonna have to be an absolute master to avoid bullets, and he is! This guy's in the Matrix, man! Nothing can shoot him down, and he pulls off the 1v3! The one round where Militant Esports had some hope, the one round where they had a significant advantage going into the retake, even that is snatched out of their hands.
1v3, calm, cool, collected. Vibor shuts down every single player, one after the other. And you can't even blame the opponents at this point in time. The angle that Vabor's holding is a cheeky angle. You can only see a tiny head. It's tough to shoot down a tiny head from that far away, but it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but come on, he's up against some of the best aimers in India, and MLT Esports had so many people marking him too, but this man, he just jiggles around so effortlessly, spraying bullets as he fades away. He is impersonating Keanu Reeves from The Matrix, period. He's just dodging bullets.
Oh, Trailblazer's gonna spot out so many players. It just give away so much vital information. Winka's really just trying to push up right on their faces, trying to get up close and personal. Look at the entire team of even Godlike. They're just showing so much calm and composed environment. And now Venka is trapped behind this little platform, which he cannot move away from. And he's being shut down too. And look at Vapor catching players off guard. Left and right, pushes through the Molotov. Or the Viper's snake bite.
Now the remaining members of Militant have no way to help each other out. No trading potential. Badman can hear them. He's got all these footsteps in his ears, but there's nothing that he can do about it. And poor Knight Rider, his flank is caught.
Oh man. Badman gets on him. And then maybe he'll just try to skedaddle away. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. Hoax. Oh, that's a nice reply. And this Harbor Viper composition so far isn't really working out that well for the side of MLT. It just seems like they're a bit underprepared to use this composition inside a competitive level.
I don't think the agent selections have anything to do with the problem. The problem is that God's Reign are just able to bully their way into the site, and regardless of whatever lineup Militant Esports have, they fail to stop their assaults. Right from the start, God's Reign have been using A main and B main as their bread and butter. B main a little more, but every now and then, in like once in every 4 rounds, somebody will try to come in from B link. It was Vibhor this time. He also tried to make that. Flank work in like 6 or 7 rounds ago. So you see, even though Militant Esports, their heart and their mind both wants to reinforce the extremities of the map, their logic dictates that somebody should still keep marking mid, even though God's Reign are showing no presence over here. And this defensive setup hasn't really changed from the beginning, you know. Badman always uses that high tide towards A main. The Viper stock screen is always towards B. But this time, when the art attack is underway, the judge could have been very impactful. And Badler finally starts what his Badler finally finishes what his teammate started.
And now Emperor, he's still there. Unfortunately, he doesn't really get that much in his hands, and now it's all up for Tix to try and clutch out. In a clutch scenario, even where the lockdown's invested, to try and stop the spike control being taken away from them. But Tix is chilling. He's got a lot of time. He's got 55 seconds in the hand where he can take a slow and steady approach inside the game and also try to isolate these duels if possible. One after the other peak will be done, and Tix! I talked about isolating the duels, and MLT's like, it's okay, we'll serve you guys this round in a silver platter.
Necro, I'm gonna be dead honest, dude. I am feeling a little disappointed. I expected this game to be really nice, and it is. It is very cool to see God's Reign dominate like this, but I'm gonna be honest, it's not fun to see Militant Esports get pushed and pulled around like this.
Yeah. And I have repeated this over and over again. When you're going to be walk peeking an angle, you're going to have a huge disadvantage no matter what the position the enemy is going to have, because you're slowly peeking that angle, and the amount of time you're giving the opponent to capitalize on that angle is just way too easy. That's why Tix just connected that headshot. The second guy tried to get the trade, but once again, the trade was there just a little too late. He should have tried to capitalize as quick as possible, but again, it is what it is, and the first half of, once again, it's just being dominated by God's Reign. They're looking like an unstoppable force on the map of Pearl, as expected, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the second half after this short break.
Hit for my wins, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach,
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Here for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the bench, I get it in.
Welcome back in the second half, ladies and gentlemen, where Godlike, there's just on a huge streak of rounds. And to stop them is looking next to impossible. 11-1 was the first half, and so far it seems like this series is going to be a complete 2-0.
I mean, there's a little glimmer of hope, you know. Militant Esports were facing a devastating scoreline in Haven as well. That was 10-2. They managed to pull some rounds together, but this one's gonna be different. The Cascade, it blocks off the vision for Godlike, but Hoax is still able to get the shot onto Rio before he falls back. And Rio was essential because he's supposed to flash through that Cascade in order to give Militant Esports their first fighting opportunity, and now he's just not allowed to do that. They used the High Tide, hoping that they would be able to plant the spike. At least the Cove is not yet used, so Badman still has a chance of deploying it and getting that spike in the ground, but Godlike are already present over here. It's a 3-stack already. How do Militant deal with this?
Oh, man. Well, do you ask yourself, are they even going to be able to deal with it? The chances of that happening are quite low. Even the 0 point gives away the presence of the rest of the players, so this is just way too concerning.
Nice!
But Badman steps up big, like a Superman for his team, and trying to turn the table, trying to switch the odds in his team's favor. And now Vapor will start running things down. In the end, we've got Hoax and Ember left. And now just dial it down to Ember.
Knight Rider being their shining arm. I'm sorry. He's being the knight in shining armor right now with that double kill. He's done quite a lot. But if Ember can somehow kill the diffuser, it would be a dead end. Yeah, he makes it a little easier for himself. Badman's already got 1 foot in the grave. 15 HP should be enough.
Time is a concern. And Ember needs to move quickly, but Badman is a little crimped on this attacking side, on this attacking half. The crispy headshots are definitely now starting to connect for that man. And Badman is pretty much the saving light that saved that pistol round. But once again, this thing right here was pretty much just gifting the round away for Godlike.
I was so nervous over there because on paper this Sky was absolutely essential for Militant Esports, you know. When you use a cascade like that to cover the distance, you're basically hoping to get as far as possible without having to actually fight. But when you do need to fight, those flashes are necessary. Without the guiding light, Militant would have had nothing to initiate that fight. And then they just have to rely on these aim duels, which, I'm not gonna lie, came through. Badman with a double, Knight Rider with a double of his own, did some really impressive legwork. And now Militant Esports try to spread out. They've got 2 heading down the corridor of B main. Wenka and Rio hoping to make their presence known. Meanwhile, the spike is heading towards A.
Oh, look at Godlike. Of course, on a gun deficit. We've only got Shorties and Sheriff to work with. But if they're still able to get away with some bodies, then that will be a little consolation for them. But Bad Love was able to sneak all the way deep inside the site, and Ember was just so unaware of that. Back turned towards them, and Ember will be shut down easily. But look at Vapor now. He's able to sneak inside the site quite easily, too. The trigger discipline's coming in, and Vapor's before taking out the first angles, and he will be shutting down the player in front of him.
Militant Esports had the advantage loud and clear at the start of this round, but now that Godlike recovered 2 Spectres, I'm starting to get worried over here, Necro. I'm really nervous. Hoax with a running headshot? That's incredible! Knight Rider gets sprayed down, and all of a sudden Rio's alone. The superior weapon,
oh my God,
might help him a little, but it doesn't matter.
Thrifty.
This is absolutely... I'm at a loss for words now, man. This is blasphemous. Godlike was supposed to get at least a couple of rounds down. There was so much militant domination at the start of this round, man. They got these easy entries. In fact, they were able to catch that Astra off guard, partially because Vibor did not buy any utility this round. No alarm bots or anything marking that area as well. So there was a clear run off the land for Militant Esports and got their spike down pretty easily. But then God's Reign recovered the guns, and those stolen Spectres, they yield so much.
Oh boy. God's Reign. That's just tragic for MLT. Losing that round where the odds are stacked with you the most, and you still managed to lose out on that round. That's heavily concerning before now, Knight Rider. That's a good opening. That's a really nice opening to try and capitalize inside the early round scenario over here. But Vibor's moving a little close to the threat, and the threat will be neutralized by Tix. The teamwork is just so perfect from God's Reign. And now Venka will dash inside the double doors. Once again, the dash is not going to work out. MLT, they're just looking so desperate to try and make things work.
Oh, interesting cascade. Goes all the way deep inside, but the fighting end of God's Reign still sharp. Vibor trying to nanoswarm them before they get inside, and Battler takes a lot of damage pushing through it. Now the spike dropped in no man's land. You can see the reluctance on Badman. He really wanted to help him out over there and go in a little quickly, but the nanoswarm just ate his HP alive, and Vibor delivers the final killing blow. This was scary, dude. I feel a little something bad in my tummy watching Militant Esports get beat up like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth of even God's Reigns fans to see them win without any resistance whatsoever.
They just got devoured. I mean, that's a prime example of getting eaten alive inside a competition. Just proving them unparalleled. And God's Reign, and look at them. Neutral faces once again. They're not even celebrating that well. Every single player's just having those neutral faces, and I really want to hear inside the interview what they've got to say. What went wrong with MLT Esports? I mean, yeah, it's clearly seen what exactly went wrong. Teamwork was heavily missing, especially on the map of Pearl, but still God's Reign with the way they just dominated the entire competition. Oh boy. As you said, you are worried. And I'm pretty sure you're also concerned for those teams that are still sitting in the bottom two in the overall standing. And I really want to see the overall standing after this game too, where MLT have found themselves. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to push to a short break. We'll be right back.
Hit for my wins, I need my head. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Making dreams come true and memories happier.
Same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that limit squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. On track, now we going way up. Now we going way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70.